Welcome to CAE Pilot Podcast, a podcast that brings together aviation professionals to discuss life as a pilot, training, and career advice. You can find us at cae.com/CAE Pilot-podcast or subscribe to our show on your audio podcasting platform of choice. You can also find our video podcast on our YouTube channel.
Welcome to the CAE Pilot Podcast. Today we're thrilled to have Eva Claire Marseille, also known as Fly with Eva, who happens to have graduated from CAE as a CAE pilot. How's it going, Eva?
Thank you for having me, yeah.
Thrilled to have you. You've been flying throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, and we really thought it would be cool to get your perspective on being a pilot at this very interesting time. And I know that you're actually on a layover right now. So where are you?
Yeah, at the moment I'm on a layover. I'm in Anchorage, Alaska. I'm going to fly to Hong Kong in a couple of hours from now. Yesterday I flew to Chicago and back. So I'm here in my hotel room in Anchorage.
And a lovely hotel room it is. Before we get into what it's like to be flying around these days, maybe you could, for the people who don't know you, just tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey to becoming a pilot, and a little bit of where it has taken you so far.
Yeah, sure. I did my ATPL course with CAE from 2008 to 2010. And then it took some time because the job market was not ideal when I graduated. But then I got a job in a well-known low-cost airline in Europe, flying passengers on the 737 for this airline. And then I got an opportunity in Hong Kong, and I managed to secure a first officer position flying the 747 freighter around the world, basically. So that's what I'm currently doing. I've been doing so for the last 2 years with this airline.
Well, that's awesome, flying the 747. You're so lucky. I think that's what a lot of pilots aspire to fly the Queen of the Skies. You mentioned that you started your career in Europe, but then you ended up in Asia. How did that come about?
So I didn't become a pilot to be in one place. I always wanted to live abroad and experience life in different countries. So with the previous airline, I've lived in Italy and I've lived in Spain. And then I always had my eyes set to Asia as well. It seemed like an interesting place to live for at least a while. And that's why I have my eyes on several Asian carriers. And Hong Kong proved to be a great place, a great base to live.
The other change you made when you went to Asia was that you went from flying people to flying cargo. How's that switch gone?
Yeah, it's a great switch because I think cargo is aviation's best hidden secret. For some reason, it has a little bit of a reputation of being in a hidden corner somewhere. There's the cargo pilots or the pilots flying cargo, but it's pretty good. Very relaxed atmosphere with my colleagues. There's no passengers on board, so if in case there is a delay, no stress because the boxes, they don't care. And the atmosphere with my colleagues is just really good. It's like we enjoy flying, and we like to do it safely, but also have a relaxed and fun time. It's good. We share the burden of doing night flights and of regular roster changes.
Sounds like you are very passionate about your work, which is always fun.
I am.
And you, of course, live in Hong Kong, and COVID-19 was sort of, or coronavirus as it was then, hit in that part of the world first. How did that change your personal life?
First, it was quite scary because it was something that was only centered in China, and then in Hong Kong we're on the border with China, and then not in the rest of the world. And then suddenly all the eyes were on my part of the world, and then people are used to wearing masks. Like the local people, they always wear masks when they have a cough or something, just as a courtesy in public transport, because it's very crowded and you just don't want to infect someone else with your normal flu in that case. Right. And then now also all the expats and myself, we all started to wear the mask and not being so comfortable being in very crowded places. And then, you know, we got maps where the disease had been spotted, like where COVID-19 patients were, and then it got pretty scary in the beginning, and then it got to the rest of the world, and then suddenly it went down in Hong Kong. So we've had the peak, so to speak, and then still we have a lot of rules like in the rest of the world, but I would say compared to a lot of countries, they're fairly relaxed.
You know, so that's sort of your day-to-day life, but your work life must have changed quite a bit too. Tell us a little bit about how it has changed your role as a pilot.
At the moment, I'm one of the few pilots that are still actually flying around, because most passenger airplanes are grounded around the world. It's crazy. Yeah. But cargo is an exception. Like we need to transport those medical supplies, the mask, and just general goods. So cargo's been an exception for all these rules of countries in lockdown. So initially, Hong Kong came with a rule that every person that came from abroad needed to be 14 days in government quarantine, wearing a tracker bracelet. And we were all very scared that that would be applicable to airline crew, because how can you keep on an operation if you have to go into quarantine after your trip for 2 weeks with this tracker bracelet and not allowed to leave your house and go on your next work trip? So in the end, be it with a lot of restrictions, the operation is excluded from this rule. But like now, I'm in this room and I'm not allowed to leave my hotel room, for example. Whenever I'm in my uniform outside of the room, I have to wear the mask. The airline tries to keep crews together for a longer period of time. So I've been doing, normally I have every flight different crew. And now I've been doing several trips together with the same team, which actually has been nice. But there's a reason, because then you avoid that we possibly infect each other. We're very lucky on my fleet. There's nobody affected, and that's my biggest fear, that I would infect someone.
And are there any additional health checks? We see a lot of temperature taking, etc. Are you seeing?
Yeah. So it's called I'm under medical surveillance as a crew member, and it means that twice a day I have to take my temperature and tell this to my airline. Then they keep it on file. Yeah, and if there's any symptoms, of course, you have to ring the bell right away. And
what has changed in the flight deck itself? So you're obviously, the 747 has quite a small flight deck, right? It's tight quarters a little bit. And how has that worked out? Well,
in the way we operate, nothing, because I mean, you can't avoid. You can't do the 1.5 meter rule in the flight deck. It's just not possible. But you know, we do all the hand washing. There's hand sanitizer on board as well. There's regular extra cleaning of the flight decks. There's a limitation to the people that come on board. Like normally in a turnaround, there's many people from engineers, dispatchers, whatnot coming on board, and now it's quite restricted. And then, yeah, we clean all the surfaces in the flight deck ourselves as well, all the touch points, and that's basically the big difference now in the way we operate. Nothing changed.
And what do you think would be most surprising to someone who came back online in terms of what's changed? Have we gotten used to these things just in our daily lives?
Yeah, it was very, I'm just used, okay, I'm going to work. I'll put on the mask. If I meet another crew member, when I check in the crew hotel, or when we take over each other's airplane, because one crew brought it in and we will take it further. There's no handshaking and of being also friendly with each other. It's like, hi, from a distance. So that's different, of course. And there's hi with the other person wearing a mask. So yeah, you're constantly reminded that the world is no longer the world as we knew it, right? Like everybody, but that's especially moments that it's very confronting.
You touched on it earlier. We hear a lot about frontline workers. So obviously the doctors, the nurses, but also the people who are delivering meals and keeping the grocery store stocked and getting goods from one place to another. So in my mind, I see you sort of as a frontline worker. Do you have a sense of pride when you think that you mentioned you deliver masks and all that? Do you have a sense of pride that you're somehow helping out in the crisis through your work?
No, I think I'm just doing my job. It's nice that suddenly cargo got an upgraded status, because yes, we do supply those goods you mentioned, but it doesn't fill me with pride. I'm like, I'm just doing my job.
Well, maybe you're a bit too humble, but you're right. We do hear about these flights, certainly, bringing these supplies. And when you do drop these off, or you arrive at your destination, is anything different when these things are come to be picked up, or is it just business as usual?
Just business. Yeah, it's not like there is a team of people cheering like, yes, there's the mask. No, it's just business. And usually, we don't know. I don't know how much of the cargo I have on board is exactly medical supplies, right, and what is normal cargo. Though we've done a few special flights that was just like masks only, and then of course it's good PR, right? So then you would be made aware what is exactly for yeah. But I haven't done one of those.
This is a significant point in time in aviation, right? And if we look back to the last one, it was probably 9/11, right? And there were significant changes after that. I think of the reinforced flight deck door. I think of the enhanced screening that we sort of all now have become used to. And I think there'll be changes after this as well. But what do you think those changes will be? Because you're out there. So what do you think will change as a result of this pandemic?
I wish that I was so smart and I had that insight, I think indeed the industry as we know it's gonna change, but like how and what kind of rules will be put in place, and will it get back to where it was? Probably not, and otherwise not that quickly. I don't know how the next months will look like. When can we start flying passengers again? How can you do, every country is slowly making up its mind, like, how are we going to do this? And they're also, it's new to everybody, to politicians, to in every industry. So I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I knew.
There's a number of buzzwords that we've learned throughout this crisis, right? Flattening the curve is one of them. And I think the next one that we're going to start to hear is the new normal. I think that your answer is much like the answer that everyone would give right now, is that we're not sure what lies ahead. Tell us a little bit about what it's like to go to a place like Chicago, which is always bustling, and now all of a sudden to see these empty streets from...
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about fun stuff. I usually even bid for my trips based on the layovers. Usually they're very short. So if I see there's 48 hours in LA, I'll try to get it. And then when I get it, I go hiking, I rent a bike and do this beach cycling and go out for dinner. And I'm just always outside of the hotel and planning fun stuff and usually meeting friends as well, or people through social media even. Like I love meeting people all around the world like that. And now it's just you go in your crew transport from the airplane to the hotel, and you're not allowed to leave the room, not even to go for a meal, not to go to the gym, just stay in your room until your next duty. And that's a bit rough. I mean, it is what it is, but it's, yeah, I recently was 5 days in Dubai. And I'd never been in Dubai, and we never have long layovers in Dubai, but now we have, because there was no passenger flights to help this rotation. So we had to wait till the next freighter plane would come, which was 5 days from when we arrived. So I was 5 days inside a hotel room in Dubai. I had never been there. And I have some friends there, and yeah, that's frustrating and not that nice.
Well, and I completely understand you. I always tell people that, I saw the world one day at a time, typical layover being usually 24 hours back when I was doing it. So I can imagine, like you, time in the hotel just didn't exist, right?
Or I could give another maybe telling example. I had a layover in Amsterdam last month, which is where I'm from. And my parents are there, and I couldn't see them, right? And it's been many months that I saw them, and normally on the layover I would just go right to my parents' house and we have dinner and catch up and hug them. And now I couldn't. I was so close. I was half an hour from them and I couldn't see them, and that's just as it is at the moment.
Well, hopefully that'll change soon. Now for some fun stuff.
All right.
Now, when we get to this new normal and you can leave your hotel room, what's the one thing you're looking forward to being able to do?
Oh, many things actually. Just I miss just moving around and just leaving the room and do anything. I'm like, now I really miss. Usually before a flight, I would hit the gym, because my body clock is just in different places usually. Like the jet lag is real. And then the thing that really energizes me is just to hit the gym. And I mean, you can do stuff in your hotel room, like hotel room workouts, but it's not the same as going for a run outside or hitting the gym. So I just really miss that. And here in Anchorage, I have some friends that I usually hang out with, because it became my second home here, right? I fly here a lot with the 747. I look forward to just hang out with these friends again here.
Well, I saw you posted a picture of isolation yoga recently.
Oh, yeah.
During a layover, but I said at least you're using your time.
Yeah. I bring my yoga mats. It's here as well, and I've done it yesterday. There's like live yoga lessons from even my favorite teachers in Hong Kong. That's great, because it feels like I'm just taking their class, and it takes my mind out of the fact that I'm on my own in this hotel room, and it feels like I'm just doing a lesson with them. So yeah, that became like a ritual now on layovers.
That's cool. What I've discovered in speaking to you is that, yes, the work has changed, and I can appreciate, I think your answer about feeling lucky to be able to still do what you love. I think that's a great message, a very positive message for people. And, but I think what you're saying is what a lot of us, even me sitting at home, thinks. I can't wait to get together with my friends. I can't wait to go out to dinner and be able to, exercise outside and all that stuff. So it's interesting to see that while I'm locked up in my house and I don't even want to travel to the grocery store, you're still traveling the world, but in a lot of ways experiencing.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I would have thought that you would have seen it maybe, or your experience would be quite different. You're clearly someone who said you wanted to be a pilot. You did that. Then you said you wanted to, go to Asia, and you were focused on that. There's a lot of people out there, obviously, who are aspiring pilots, So what would your message to them be right now?
It's a very interesting time to start any flight training, right? Because it's for me, it's a little bit like when I started. Just after that, the market was really bad because even experienced pilots, they couldn't break. Well, they had their break in the industry, but there weren't even jobs for experienced pilots, let alone for cadets. So I think we will have the same for quite a long time at the moment. But I'm really sure that there's better times ahead again, and there will be a demand again. It's just I don't know how long this is going to take. So it's good. I've been in touch with people in flight training at the moment, and the training seems to be still continuing. Like they found ways to have one instructor paired with one student, and in that way people can still continue their training. And I thought everything had stopped, but that was still going on, so I was relieved to hear that. It's just I'm in touch with a lot of student pilots at the moment, and they're all worried about their future. And I think it will be very challenging to get a position, but it's just your own attitude is what makes all the difference. So if you give up, that's it, right? So the only person that can make the difference in your life is yourself. So if you keep moving forward, keep your skills on point, and keep applying and get yourself out there, then yes, it may take time. But when an opportunity is there, you're ready, and opportunities will be there. But you have to have this perseverance and this strength. For me, it took 2.5 years myself when I graduated. And people around me gave up because they thought, I'll just do something else. Because you only live at that moment for the future, for when you get that job, and there is no peek into the future, like when will you get that job, and it may take even longer. I've met people that were searching for a job 4 years or 5. So I was quite quick with 2.5 years. So yeah, it's not a fairy tale. There is not going to be a job lying there for you, most likely at the end of your pilot training, but the opportunity will come sooner or later, and then you got to be ready, and you got to prepare yourself for that moment. Yeah, that would be my message. So yeah, be.
Well, here I'll tell you. It's funny because our cadets right now, and a lot of our training has gone virtual, right? We've had the opportunity to bring things to. CAE has been actually very innovative in the way we've dealt with this. So we now have a lot of virtual training happening actually in Europe, and the United States. So it's interesting from that perspective that we've been able to keep people on their path. What inspirational words would you, if you had to take out the, oh my God, there won't be a job for you when you're done your training, if you just had to, if you had a young aspiring pilot in front of you, what would you say that is how would you inspire them? How would you instill the passion for flying that you clearly have?
Being a pilot, it's more than a job. It's if you choose to be a pilot, you choose for a certain lifestyle. And you either love it or you hate it. Like, I personally love it. I love that everything in my life that comes through my job, I love it. I love living abroad. I love meeting different people all the time. I love that we have this responsibility on our shoulders every day. So I thrive on that every day your performance is monitored by yourself, by your colleagues. So there's jobs that people don't care about how you perform, right? And you don't get that feedback. And I love that because it's just motivating, and it keeps me sharp. And every flight you learn something, even if it's very small. Like there's a lot of routine in a flight, but every flight there is something that will improve, or you learn, or there's a small mistake somewhere that you can discuss, and so you get better. And I do. That's an aspect that I really enjoy.
It sounds like what you're saying, though, is that you love it, and despite whatever's going on in the world, if you can harness that passion, you can make it happen. Do you agree?
I would agree, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you can't. It's this thing inside you, and like there's this saying, like, once you've tasted flights, you know what is it? Once you've tasted the passion of flight, you have your eyes to the sky forever, something like that. But people that currently are not flying, it's also like, wow, I really miss being in that flight deck, and then I hope I have a flight on my roster next month, because I just it's part of who you are.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And listen, with any luck, everyone will be back flying soon. I just wanted to go back to one other thing that I'd asked you about before, and that was your move to Hong Kong. Yeah. You started out with the European airline, and then you ended up in Asia. What brought you there? Like, what was it that you said, oh my God, I have to do this,
I was looking for my next opportunity. So I was happy in the airline I was working for, but I really wanted long haul experience. And then at that time, there were not really any vacancies in Europe. There were vacancies in the Middle East, and a lot of my friends and colleagues went there. But I wasn't interested, because I don't want to commute, and I'm an outdoorsy person. So I didn't have my eyes set on the Middle East. But Asia always seemed interesting and attractive to me. So I was checking what opportunities were there, and then my current airline had this vacancy, and I got in touch with a friend that was already flying a few years for the airline, and we talked about life in Hong Kong and about working for this airline, and it almost sounded too good to be true. So I really wanted that opportunity. So yeah, I'd never been in Hong Kong myself, but I had done some traveling in Asia, and I could see myself live there and have this interesting experience being based there. So yeah, that's multiple things. So the job and the interest to live in Asia.
We talked a little bit about passengers versus cargo. Maybe you can just expand on that just a tiny bit. What's the difference between working in cargo as a cargo pilot versus a passenger pilot, if you will? Or a pilot who flies cargo versus a pilot who flies passenger.
Yeah, now you say it very properly. So as a passenger, as a pilot flying passengers, your schedule is kind of set. So all the passengers have bought their tickets, so this flight will happen at these times. And with cargo, the slots regularly change, or they move the pilots around. So you gotta be a bit more flexible as a cargo pilot. Like if you go to dispatch for your flight, it has happened multiple times that I planned for a trip to Colombo or to Australia or you name it, and I end up in a snowstorm in Chicago, right? So you gotta pack basically prepared for anything. Then there's a lot of night flights and jet lags, because you keep hopping around. Like sometimes I'm in the States for 8 days, but then there's also time zone changes within the States. So then one day you're here and then you're 2 days there, which I like it. And I also don't mind not knowing always where I end up. Like, yeah, my work pattern is 8 days, but who knows where we'll go.
Well, listen, I know that you're getting ready for a flight, so thanks again, Eva, for doing this. Where can people find you if they want to follow your journey?
Yeah, on Fly with Eva on Instagram. Do follow or have a look. I'm like an open book on my social media about my work. You can ask me questions. I always show what my next trip is going to be and what I'm doing on trips. So it's like really giving insights in a 747 cargo pilot life.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Have a safe flight tonight. And listen, I hope we have the chance to catch up with you again on CAE Pilot Podcast.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
CAE Pilot Podcast is brought to you by CAE, the global leader in training for the civil aviation, defense and security, and healthcare markets. For more information, check out cae.com.